Well, howdy doody doolers, here we are again with another deck profile by Southern YGO's Rice. I can't be bothered to get the mat, which is like all the way over sort of that way, on the floor, scrunched up in a heap. This deck might be playable again, so I asked famous UK judge Matt Winkle about this deck, and he gave me some pointers, and here we are. So here we are, new Lightsworn, 60 cards. So we start off with Lightsworns. These are pretty good cards. You mill these cards and you win the game, and you start with this card and it mills these cards, you win the game. Only one other one. So weirdly enough, before nobody ran JD, and I did because of the silly trap card, and now everyone's running 1 to 2 JD and I'm not. So I don't need too many more Swarns. And since I always want to not mill Raiden, I always want to normal summon Raiden, it means I don't really need things like Lumina as much anymore. Big sad time. There you go. Next we have our Chaos Sea Monsters. So, oh, excuse me, should have had a cup of tea before I started. Right, so 2 Chaos Dragon Levineer, tempted to put it 3, but maybe not. 2 Chaos Creator, tempted to put it 3, maybe not. And then one of each of these. So this might matter because Chaos Space and Safer and stuff. Spoilers for later. Jesus Christ, that tea really is come back with a vengeance. And then Chaos Space has to search something of the opposite attribute. So every now and again you will need the light extender, which is BLS. And then if you draw him, he's BLS, which is pretty good. 6 boss monstery things usually works out to not be too many, which is good. Next we have our baby dragons. I don't know where my ultra white is, so a marginally dogged common it is. These come up a lot nowadays just because you can search them and you can like get them off of the Chaos Dragony boy. They're good. They're very, very good. If I could run more, probably would. Chaos Valkyria, sorry. Both her effects come up. I've considered putting her 3, same as everyone else. However, she is once per turn. The dump effect is very relevant, and also she's a fairy. A big thing about my deck is Union Carrier, and Appaloosa's a fairy, so this can give her another negate and 1,000 attack points. Next up, so drawing cards and then discarding them is kind of like milling, right? So I honestly thought that I had 3 Chupacabra in here until I put this deck in order. And it's like, hey, where's that last one gone? But it is 60 cards. So Lord knows where 3rd Chupacabra is. Yeah, they're just good extenders, level 4s especially. What else can I say? They're also dark, I guess, which does matter for all the chaos stuff. A lot of the time when you have to do chaosy things, you are banishing a danger. Obviously level 4s are prioritised. I did run Tsuchinoko for a little bit, but it was just like as an extender because you want level 4s a lot of the time. Same with Bigfoot, just to make rank 8 plays, but that just never came up. Next up we have Perform Mage Engine. I'm running a bigger one than most, like I'm doubling up on all of them, just because you need to mill good and then win the game. So milling this is a +1 because it gets you this, or gets you this every now and again if you have a handful of dangers or something to like discard. I don't know, I'm not your dad. And then mill this card, it's like milling a wolf or whatever. I did briefly cut it down to 1, but realistically with the ethos, whatever you want to call it, of this deck, you kind of just want to mill good, mill monster extenders and stuff, and then win the game. So next up we have 2 Gizmek Orochi. Would not cut this down to 1. You want to see it quite a bit, but obviously having 2 is semi-dead, except for when you stick one under Hope Harbinger, because that thing never detaches, and at that point you want the second one. It's just very good. A lot of the time you end your plays on a Hope Harbinger or a rank 8 in general, so just having the free extender from grave, on top of the fact that, you know, it's a recurring thing every turn. You have 60 cards, you can literally resolve that card like, I want to say like 37 times. Next up we have all of the one-offs, which I'm going to get all together. Goblinberg, because you need a level 4 extender off of Rota, and because we're running another card you can't use Photon Thrasher. Next up, Stylish Safer. I was running 2, it was semi-underwhelming at points. If you mill it, it's okay. If you draw it, it's okay. It's not a very good normal summon though. oh boy, move on to the next card. These two for needle fiber. Now I do want to start this off with saying I'm not doing the needle fiber Aurodon plays sort of at all. These are just literally extenders because you mill them and then they do stuff, I guess. And needle fiber can get you to a point where you have a tuner and a non-tuner or another tuner. Screw it, I'm not your dad. And their type or attribute doesn't line up for your Union Carrier, so you can put them together and then one of these from deck, which then does line up for your Union Carrier, and then you have another extender off of it as well. Another couple more one-offs. I bloody love Blazing Mask. Please read the effect. It's relevant. It comes up because a lot of the time you have to make IP boards, which is weirdly strong, don't get me wrong, but he's just an extra monster. At the end of all of that, there's another link material. Similar spot, Chaos Betrayer. Banish a light and a dark from the graveyard to special summon him from the graveyard, and then you can like DD Crow a card or something. It's literally just an extender from grave. He banishes when he leaves the field, but free extender is fun. Photon Thrasher got replaced with this because we're running through Dragon Shrine. It's just marginally better, I suppose, because extenders and stuff, and milling cards, you can mill other dragons like the Safer and add something back, I suppose. It's pretty weak. I was thinking about Galactic Spiral Dragon at one point, especially with the baby Chaos Dragons and then the big Chaos Dragon in the extra deck, but didn't really come up a lot. Then, so because with this deck, you just kind of have to try and mill and then just try and build a board. Two cards that really help you do that is these two. So Union Carrier, especially if you can stick it onto the 38, which then makes it 4K, which is really strong. This is really good. If you mill it, then or banish it up for Orochi, which is really rare. You can just equip other things. It's fine. Like I said, you can put Valkyria onto Appaloosa, and that's 5 negate Appaloosa. And then you can reborn this off of. You can reborn it off of what was it, Dagaris the Timeless, which is the rank 4. You can resummon it off of Legionnaire or Chaos Creator. It's actually weirdly easy to get that on the board, and especially since you can just banish Chaos Valkyria to dump it and then get it back on the field. Sometimes you just have to make boards with Christian because otherwise you're just handing the opponent the game. Anti-fun. Next up we have our spell cards, and we have our reasons for living, which is our Lightsworn stuff. Then the 3 new card, one of the actually very few cards in the game that it's really just good to draw or to mill. That's not a Burning Abyss card in a Burning Abyss deck. So 3 Chaos Space, all of these come up an awful lot. Then we have 3 Dragon Shrine because these are replacing Thrasher as just like a level 4 extender, or maybe 6 Stayfoot in the grave or something. I don't know, I'm not your dad. Then we have our 4 kind of power one-offs. This is obviously like a power one-off because send, and then this is just consistency, but these two sometimes can be iffy because you can just get hands where reborn doesn't matter, and oh boy, if you draw a good hand and have to card destruction it away, maybe you'll get a worse hand, who knows. So that is 60 cards in the main deck. Then we have our extra deck, which is what we end our boards on. 1 Mekhnut Crusader Avramax. So we're running this instead of things like Boral Sword, just because this has the attack redirection effect, which can be relevant for Appaloosa, especially if you have to use an IP to then create the Battle Protect on the Appaloosa. Because it just means that Appaloosa's negates are all live instead of them just making it smaller and then running it over. 1 Bomber Dragon, just because Appaloosa plays, IP Masquerade plays, there you go. It can come up Skull Dread. I don't actually make this a whole lot, but every now and again you will just get a hand where it's like weak extenders, and you have to try and hope that you can get into something more significant with this, which happens sometimes. Then Sad Bear, as you can see from the map, Appaloosa by the Goddess. A lot of the times you have to end your board on this or get to it through IP Masquerade. It's just turning a lot of monsters into something that's relevant. So that's our link 4s. Next up we have link 3s, which I'll go through quick. Trisbania, so you can go to IP plays, which are really strong against back row decks. I rate that. Curious is probably one of the things that I'll go into the least. It's just such a weird hand that you have to go into Curious to then get to a board that's relevant, but every now and again it does come up. And then Nightmare Unicorn, especially turn 2, sometimes you just have so many monsters that you kind of want to make some space. Also IP plays, I guess, which makes it semi-relevant. It does come up. Next up, we have our Link 2s. Needle Fiber, Union Carrier, and IP Masquerena. This is literally just for the extension off of if you have a tuner and a non-tuner, you can get their types or attributes, whatever it is, to align for Union Carrier, which is equip the Buster or equip a Valkyria or equip anything. It's a Link 2 that makes an impactful end board, I suppose. The IP Masquerena, which 99% of my boards at the moment are ending on, just to turn it into something relevant. You could potentially run Needle Fiber combos in this deck as well. It is entirely possible to do so. I just didn't have the extra deck space or the mental capacity to not to top myself while that has. Hope Harbinger is so easy to make with the between all your big Chaos monsters, your Gizmek and your Chaos Synchro 8. Also with the redirect on attacks, which means that all of your Appaloosa negates are live, which is very, very relevant. Also, where it's a dragon, you can equip the Buster Lock to it. Minerva, she still is my number one bird, but unfortunately there is a big level 8 dragon that kind of does her job a little bit better. But yeah, a lot of the time I start off my turns with going to the Chaos level 8 and then Minerva, and then we see what we have from all of our sort of mills. Regardless of Timeless, most of the time for Christian, but every now and again it can just reborn anything else. Or once or twice I've taken a 38 that's got something equipped to it. This can double its attack, and then that's an 8k monster, which is pretty good. So yeah, every now and again it comes up. This is a utility card. You use it to try and make a board. Next we have the big boy. So this kind of makes the deck to an extent where it's just so much advantage off of this one card that allows you to get into... I usually want to try and end on at least 3 material Appaloosa, and then 38, and this is just huge for it. Or if nothing else, you can usually end on this becomes a material for a Masquerena, then it comes back, and then you get the level 8, so you have Hope Harbinger and IP, and hopefully enough to make the Appaloosa. And then I was reminded that I do not have a Boral Savage at the moment because someone is borrowing my Boral Savage, so this is a reminder that I don't have my Boral Savage. Ironically, you can probably just run Stardust. Right, so that's the deck profile. Thank you very much for watching. I love you dearly. I feel like it should be something else.